Sound control. You can use this button to exit the course anytime. Hello and welcome to the first e-learning module on rolling contact bearing. By the end of this module, you will be able to define bearing, list different types of bearing, explain the features of bearing, and list the applications of bearing. The term bearing is derived from the verb to bear, as it is a machine element that allows one part to bear or to support another. Though small, but it is being used at a very large scale in steel plants. Hence, knowledge of bearing becomes very important for us. Bearing is a component that supports a load while permitting relative motion between two elements of a machine. A rolling element bearing carries a load by placing round elements between two surfaces. These surfaces are formed by the inner race and the outer race. The relative motion of the races causes the bearing elements to roll with little or no sliding. There are wide variety of rolling contact bearings that use spherical balls or some other type of roller between the stationary and the moving elements. Bearings are normally selected based on a requirement to carry a given load for a given period. Rolling contact bearings are designed to carry pure radial loads, pure axial loads, or a combination of the two. Bearings are mainly of two types, ball bearing and roller bearing. These are further divided into different types of bearings. Click each bearing to know more. Ball bearing is further of following three types: deep groove ball bearing, angular contact ball bearing, self-aligning ball bearing. Click each to know more. To get a basic understanding of any bearing, we should be aware of its construction, features, and applications. Click each to know more about deep groove ball bearing. Deep groove ball bearing has both inner and outer race. It has balls as rolling elements and consists of a retainer or cage. The inner race, outer race, and the balls are made up of SAE 52100 material, and the cage is made up of steel sheet, brass sheet, or plastic. Deep groove ball bearing has several features. First, it supports small and medium loads, and it can do so because balls have less support area to offer. Second, it supports both radial and moderate thrust load in both directions. Let us understand how it does so. Both inner and outer races of a deep groove ball bearing can have relative movement axially in either direction by the amount of axial clearance. This creates a nominal contact angle, which is responsible for this bearing to take moderate thrust load with radial loads. Axial load carrying capacity of deep groove ball bearings depend on internal clearance. Third, it is suitable for high-speed application. Due to low centrifugal stress because of smaller weight of balls and low operating temperature due to low coefficient of friction, these bearings can run at high speeds. Fourth, it has high running accuracy because it can be manufactured with high precision. It runs with low friction and less noise. Less friction because the point contact and less noise because of certain preloading during operation. Sixth, it is less tolerant of misalignment of the inner and outer races. This is because of the balls between the races that makes angular movement of inner race inside outer race impossible. And seventh, axial displacement is not possible in deep groove ball bearings. Hence, it cannot be used as floating end bearing. With interference fit in both inner race with shaft as well as outer race with housing. Since balls cannot move in grooves in axial direction beyond axial clearance, which is very little anyway, axial displacement is not possible in deep groove ball bearings. Deep groove ball bearings are produced in bulk and have low cost. Hence, they are first choice of bearings for any application, if otherwise suitable. Deep groove ball bearings are used in following areas: small and medium-sized motors, electric vans, etc. Motorcycle and other light-duty automobiles, conveyors and other light-loaded gearboxes, light loads machine tools, and small and medium-sized pumps. Now, since you know about deep groove ball bearing, could you please help Mr. Preetham? Please click to offer your help. You are so kind. Let me tell you his problem. Mr. Preetham has joined Tata Steel and he wants to know that for what load types deep groove ball bearings can be used. You have got following options. Click each to know more about angular contact ball bearing. Angular contact ball bearings are constructed with axially asymmetric races. It has higher axial thrust with radial load. Also, the nominal contact angle is kept higher of around 40 degrees. Angular contact ball bearings have several features. First, it takes radial loads with higher axial loads. Second, it may be used in bears in O, that is, back-to-back arrangement, X, that is, face-to-face arrangement, and tandem arrangements. Third, it has high running accuracy. Fourth, it has low friction. Fifth, it runs quietly. Sixth, it is suitable for high speed. Seventh, axial displacement is not possible in it. And lastly, it does not compensate for misalignment. Angular contact ball bearings are used at many places like in automobile final drive, in machine tools spindle drives, in centrifugal pumps, in small worm and worm wheels, in screw jacks, in the headsets of most bicycles, and in dentistry tools where accuracy is essential. Now, answer this simple question quickly and move on to the next topic. What is the nominal angle for angular contact bearing? 20 degrees, 30 degrees, 40 degrees, and 50 degrees. Click each to know more about self-aligning ball bearings. Self-aligning ball bearings has two rows of balls and a common concave spherical raceway in the outer ring. The center of outer ring curvature meets that of the bearing itself, so that the inner ring, balls and cage are free to rotate. The self-aligning ball bearing with a tapered bore can easily be fit to the shaft with an adapter assembly.
उधर रोड से ही 1 नंबर से उधर 11 नंबर जा रहा था। तो आया तुम उधर गली में नहीं आ रहे हो तो वही नहीं कल नहीं आया था मतलब कल क्या पेट्रोल दिन नहीं आ रहे हो तो मौन मत तो आया तो फिर उधर भी निकाल दो बाद में से ओ दिन से देंगे हैं तो मतलब करते वाली से देंगे अच्छा कितना दिया था हैं
Let us look at some salient features of self-aligning ball bearing. First, it compensates for angular misalignment in operation up to 2.5 degrees. Second, it compensates for initial errors of alignment. Third, it runs quietly with low friction. Fourth, it is suitable for high speed and high running accuracy. Fifth, it cannot take moment load. And sixth, the axial displacement is not possible in self-aligning ball bearings. Because of so many features, self-aligning ball bearings have various applications. It is used in agriculture machineries, conveyors, simple woodworking machines, fans, and in roll shafts. With this, you have completed self-aligning ball bearing. Now answer the simple question quickly and move on to the next topic. Self-aligning ball bearing can tolerate angular misalignment to the extent of 1 degree, 2.5 degrees, 5 degrees, or 6 degrees. Congrats! You have successfully completed the ball bearings. Now it's time to learn about roller bearings. Roller bearing is further of 4 types: cylindrical roller bearing, spherical roller bearing, tapered roller bearing, needle roller bearing. Click each to know more. Click each to know more about cylindrical roller bearings. A cylindrical roller bearing has inner race, outer race, and rollers with or without cage. Its rollers are not true cylinders, but are of logarithmic profile and ground. There are 2 or 4 rows of rollers that are used for larger loads. Either inner, that is, in design NU, or outer race, that is, in design N, can move freely in axial direction. It is constructed in such a way that the inner and outer rings can be separated to facilitate assembly. Also, both inner and outer rings can be fit with shaft or housing tightly. In other design of NJ or NF types, inner race or outer race can move in axial direction in only one side. In NUP construction, a separable thing through facilities bearing assembly by separating inner race and cage with rollers from outer race to facilitate mounting of bearing. In assembled condition, axial movement of inner ring relative to outer ring cannot happen in either direction. Cylindrical roller bearing is equipped with several features. First, it can take large radial loads. Second, it cannot take axial loads. Third, it is best suited for free expansion of shaft. Fourth, it can take very little misalignment of around 3.5 minutes max. Fifth, it is suitable for high-speed applications. Sixth, it has high running accuracy and high stiffness for double row design. And seventh, it cannot take moment load. Cylindrical roller bearings are used at several places like in power generation, in oil fields, mining and aggregate processing, in rolling mills stands choke bearing for supporting work roll and backup rolls, in non-located end of shafts of gearboxes, in machine tools transmissions, in vibration machines, in wheel set bearings for rail vehicles, in cross bearing of universal coupling of common shaft, and in edger main drive gearbox of HSM. Let us check your understanding now. Mr. Preetham has to know as to which design of cylindrical roller bearing allows shaft to move freely in either direction so that it can be used of floating and bearing for some application. Could you please help him? You just have to pick the correct application and drop it on the board. Click each to know more about spherical roller bearings. Spherical roller bearings consist of an outer ring having a continuous spherical raceway. Within that spherical raceway, two rows of barrel-shaped rollers also operate. These barrel-shaped rollers are in turn guided by an inner ring with two raceways separated by a center rib. Machined brass gauge or pressed gauge of open-end type are used to receive positive lubricant supply from outside. It is designed with suffix E and without integral lip that can use longer rollers and hence it has higher load carrying capacity. Usually, it has a central peripheral groove in outer race of suffix S that has 3 holes at 120 degrees for feeding the lubricant for efficient lubrication. Let us look at some salient features of spherical roller bearing. It has self-aligning properties and therefore is suited for use where misalignment of maximum 2 degrees is present between the inner and outer rings, which occurs from housing installation error or shaft flexure. It has a large capacity for radial loads, axial loads in either direction, complex loads and shock loads. Spherical roller bearings are used at several places like in the steel industry, rolling mill drive gearboxes, In vibratory applications such as vibrating screens or exciters, roller table rollers shaft bearings, conveyor idler end bearings, ship line shaft and rudder shafts, stone crushers and beater mills, in heavy support rollers, in grinding and comminuting works, and in FD and ID vans of a boiler.
Now it's time for
assessment.
Firstly, click on the box to see the options.
Box to proceed. Choose the right application of spherical roller bearing and drop it in the cardboard box. Click each to know more about roller bearings. Tapered roller bearings have tapered inner and outer ring raceways between which tapered rollers are arranged. Single row tapered roller bearings are separable, so both the inner and outer rings can be used with tight fits. When used in pairs, proper internal clearances and preload can be set by adjusting the distance between the two bearings' inner and outer rings. The projection lines of all the tapered surfaces meet at a common point on the bearing axis. Their design makes tapered roller bearings particularly suitable for the accommodation of combined loads, that is, radial and axial loads. The axial load carrying capacity of the bearings is largely determined by the contact angle. The larger the angle, the higher the axial load carrying capacity. Tapered roller bearings have the logarithmic contact profile that provides for optimum stress distribution over the roller or raceway contacts. The special design of the sliding surfaces of the guide flange and large roller ends considerably promotes lubricant film formation in the roller end or flange contacts. The tapered roller bearing has several features. It can carry combinations of large radial and thrust loads or thrust load only, but it is unsuitable for high-speed applications. It can live long even in contaminated lubricant, but it cannot take misalignment. It uses 2 or 4 rows of rollers for larger loads. It may be used in pairs of O, X, or tandem arrangements. Tapered roller bearings are commonly used in following applications: rolling mill stands choke bearing, gearbox shaft bearings, vehicle spinal drive bearings, construction machinery, agriculture and mining equipment, various axle systems, and engine motors and reducers bearings. Let's check our understanding of tapered roller bearings. Mr. Preetham has to write few applications of tapered roller bearing. He got a lot of options to choose from and hence got confused. Could you please help him? You just have to pick the correct application and drag it to marking place. Click link to know more about needle roller bearings. The construction of needle roller bearings is peculiar. It uses needle rollers as rolling elements. The needle rollers are a maximum of 5 mm in diameter. It is 2.5 to 10 times as long as it is in diameter. It is available both with or without an inner ring. Let us look at some salient features of needle roller bearings. It requires less radial space. It cannot take axial thrust. It can be used as floating end bearing. It is light in weight and less expensive. It possesses greater rigidity, higher load carrying capacity, and lower inertia. It can take oscillating loads. It may substitute bush bearings, and it can take very minor misalignment. Due to so many features, needle roller bearings are used at various places like transmissions, transfer cases, engines and valve trains, cam follower systems, steering and braking systems, axle support like front axle of scooters, etc., cross bearings of universal spindles, gudgeon pin and crank pin bearing of IC engines, power tools, copiers, fax machines, paper moving equipment, and household appliances. Now, since you have learnt about needle roller bearings, let us take part in simple activity. Choose the right feature of needle roller bearing and place it in the given boxes.
हलवा में ले टायर है मैं ये कहाँ से ले
हम लाके खाए थे
कहाँ से
खरीद के
बाहर से कहाँ की तू कहाँ की तू
पीछे
नहीं वो पकड़ के लो
सुबह में
कितना
वही 6:30 पौने 7
हाँ
6:30 पौने 7 में
वही बात में वो पकड़ भी नहीं खाना
उस वक्त तो दुकान भी नहीं खुला था
इधर ये झलेला ये लगा दियो
लगा दीजिए
लगाओ या प्लेट खा रहे हैं
Click to know more about needle roller bearings. Due to so many features, needle roller bearings are used at various places like transmissions, transfer cases, engines and valve trains, cam follower systems, steering and braking systems, axle support like front axle of scooters, etc., cross bearings of universal spindles, gudgeon pin and crank pin bearing of IC engines, power tools, copiers, fax machines, paper moving equipment, and household appliances.
गड़िया कैसे निकलेगा आया ना गीला है तो ऊपर बोल दो उसको गाड़ी निकालना कैसे निकलेगा
आपण ज्या व्यक्तीस कॉल करीत आहात ती व्यक्ती उत्तर देत नाही